Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time stopping by. If you're new here, I am a content creator. I am also a tarot deck creator and an author. My books are these three. My first book was Self-Worth Path. This was self-published. It is available now on Amazon, and this is a book all about self-worth. My first tarot book is called Unlocking the Tarot, and that was produced by or published by Llewellyn last year. And I also self-published Mystic's Magical Journey, which is a sweet little children's book that is based on the major arcana of the Unicorn's Journey Tarot, which was my first ever tarot deck. You can find Mystic's Magical Journey in my Etsy shop along with the Unicorn's Journey Tarot. But, oh, I'm throwing my cards everywhere. Anyways, if you don't know, this is a narrative tarot that tells the story of a little unicorn named Mystic who discovers who they are and all they're capable of. It has a self-worth theme, but overall it is a sweet fairy tale-esque tarot deck that I'm super, super proud of. And I have it in a standard edition and a mini edition, and that is in my shop if you're curious and want to check it out. Links to that are always down below. And most recently, and it is finally showing up on people's doorsteps, and I'm so excited, is Sassy Dragons Tarot Classic and the not safe for work, sweary, adult language, naughty references version. These are both beginner-friendly tarot decks that have the meanings right on the cards. And this is a little smaller than standard tarot size, so it's really easy to shuffle, really good playing card quality stock, like really nice card stock that's super sturdy. Anyways, it's finally showing up in people's hands, which has been very exciting. So I've been sharing pictures of that on social media. This will be up in the Etsy shop very, very, very soon, so keep your eyes out. You can favorite my Etsy shop at supportivetarot.etsy.com if you want, but this deck is actually a collaboration between me and my wife, Peggy, and we had some fabulous illustrators for this. It was such a fun project, and we're so excited to see it in people's hands. This is coming to the shop very, very soon, so keep your eyes peeled. If you don't already know as well, my wife makes tarot bags and reading cloths, and when you see that kind of stuff on my channel, that is also made by her, and that is sold at her Etsy shop. So, you know, all the things that happen and all the creations, and we're all about it. So today we're going to be talking about the Children of Ostara Tarot by Zia Hunt. I am a big fan of Zia Hunt's work ever since I got and worked with the Nameless One Tarot, which we're not going to get into today. I've got other videos where I've talked about this deck at length. I have a full walkthrough. I've done a whole bunch of things. But working with the Nameless One really made me want to support Zia's other work, and the Children of Ostara came out on Kickstarter, was released on Kickstarter I think last year, and it came in and I haven't had a chance to really properly look through it, so I thought we would do a bit of a walkthrough today. I don't know how deep we're going to get. I will admit this is my second time trying to film this, because the first time I thought what I was going to do was walk through the Children of Litha next to the Children of Ostara. But a few cards in, I realized I was having trouble with the Children of Litha. Now, the Children of Litha was her first tarot, I believe even before the Nameless One. The struggle I have with this, so this one is more human-animal based, but I was running into a lot of difficulty because through the majors, we're told that the Fool is the only human, but then after that we have animals mixing, and we're told this is a spider, but then it stops being sort of explicit about what animal you're seeing in the cards. And as you know, I already have a hard time with animal identification, let alone when it's like blended with humans. But I got a little frustrated by the guidebook because it doesn't really specifically lay it out. Now that might change in the minor. It looks like it does. The minors start to do identification, but I was finding it really distracting just trying to find that information and follow that information through the major arcana. So I decided instead, especially since this deck has been out for quite a while, you can probably find other walkthroughs of this, and I need to, I think, on my own, spend some time with this and figure out where I'm going to land with it. But in the meantime, I really just wanted to spend a little quality time getting to know the Children of Ostara. So I thought we could go through this one together. And the guidebook of this one does tell us what plant we're looking at. It's very clearly labeled on every guidebook entry, so I think we'll be able to go through this one and have a nicer time with that without as much of me trying to like figure it out on the fly. So I'm going to pull out the guidebook. Now this is the black edition. It came also in a gold edition, so mine has black edges. It's got a subtle rose petal finish, and the backs of the cards are the same exact backing as in the prior deck, which is good to know for those of you who may want to mix and match your cards. So if you get the same edition with the same cardstock in both, you should be able to essentially mix and match. I just forget which one is which. Okay, so that's the Children of Litha. But yeah, today we're going to go through the Children of Ostara. And what I wanted to point out is that the guidebook, the way that it's laid out for every card entry, is you get, on the left, you get a little like thumbnail image that kind of zooms you in. You have a poem that Zia wrote about every card. You have the common name and the, I guess, botanical name of the plant energy that's there. You get information about the plant energy as well in the card description. You get some keywords for what the plant's associations are energetically, and then upright and reverse keywords for the card. So it's quite well done in the guidebook, and I found that a lot easier to follow than the way that the first deck was done, where this information might be like woven into the meanings. And there was upright reverse keywords, but the animal wasn't like clearly labeled. It wasn't always easy to spot. So I really like that about the way that this one is done. So I thought what I would do is, we're pretty zoomed in already. So I think I'm just going to center the cards, and then I'm going to keep the guidebook in my hand, zoom us in even a little bit more, and then we can go through them. So we begin with the Fool. I freaking love that the Fool is a dandelion and that this character is actually blowing the little dandelion fluff off the edge of the cliff. There's also what looks like quite a dangerous little snake wrapping around this character's leg, which is so interesting to me. Usually we see our little white guardian or little white accompanying animal as more of ambiguous, whether it could be helpful or not. And here we see it may not be, but also that white snake is just, it really stands out a lot to me on the card for some reason. In our Magician, we have Clover. Clover for the Magician, I think, is so great because this is a card of manifestation and creation, and the idea of clover energy kind of accompanying that just really works. And I love how this character's hat or head or hair seems to be the clover flower. And we're in a field of clovers, and there's this jester-like energy, this like play and performative energy to the card, which I think is also really great. Our High Priestess is Monkshood, and she talks about monkshood being poisonous and a plant of liminal spaces. So really beautiful for the High Priestess. Our Empress is Wheat, common wheat. How amazing is that? The keywords for the wheat are fruitfulness, prosperity, sustenance, and generosity. And of course, for the Empress, wheat is perfection. I love that the wheat is like her hair. The Emperor is Thistle. So it says here, Thistle is protection, bravery, strength, pride, determination, and war. So I should have given the keywords previously, but we'll roll with it. So we have really potent keywords. He's got the ram's head sort of on his skull on his lap. There's this sense of readiness. There's this kind of pokiness about him and this potency. If anything, I feel like this deck might actually help me to get to know the plant energies much better than I do now, and I'm really excited about that. The Hierophant threw me for a minute because instead of the common name, so this is actually sage, but over here it says salvia and then has salvia again. So salvia and then salvia officinalis. Over here it says sage. Sage is said to bestow wisdom, longevity, good health, and guard against malefic spirits and psychic attack. It goes on from there. Keywords, purification, wisdom, inner peace. These are great words for the Hierophant, and because sage is used in a ritualistic way, I think it works really well for the Hierophant. In the Lovers, we have Red Maple, which is for me an unexpected choice, but apparently the associations are love and romance and endurance, all of which are really great keywords for the Lovers card. Red Maple has this sort of mystery quality that I feel like I'm seeing in the card and coming through in this imagery that I just am really happy about. I love how the serpent is sort of winding around our couple. For the Chariot, we have Blue Iris and Pink Camellia. And so the pink camellias are these flowers in the front. And then our main character here, our Chariot, is made of the blue iris. Talks about how the iris blooms beautifully but briefly. So too are moments of perfect internal harmony, which is so interesting. It's like we got to kind of ride the wave when we have it, of that moment of like focus and really knowing where we're going, and then move forward from that place. Strength as Angelica and Yellow Carnelian. So this is the carnelian here around the lion, and then this is the Angelica. And I wonder if there's this point here of like the sort of way they work together. So yellow carnelian, or excuse me, yellow carnation, not carnelian, yellow carnation. Yellow carnation says rejection, envy, disappointment, and sorrow. If that's representing the lion, what's really interesting about that is then we have the Angelica, which is spiritual protection, self-control, and divine messages. So what you get is this like really interesting layered meaning where we can see that this character, this plant energy, is helping to sort of balance and tame and harmonize with this energy. And since I tend to see the Strength card as a card of like sort of facing our shadow and sort of harmonizing, but also like compassionately loving and forgiving that part of ourselves. That seems especially powerful to me. Then we have the Hermit, and the Hermit is mugwort. Oh my gosh, mugwort for the Hermit. Yes, mugwort for spiritual journeys, mugwort for going within. I love that so much. That makes so much sense to me. I don't even have anything to add. For the Wheel of Fortune, we obviously see quite a lot going on here, but she does name them all, and they are 4 trees: oak, ash, hawthorn, and blackthorn, all of which I believe have a pretty strong association to the seasons, particularly in Celtic lore, if I am not mistaken. So it talks about oak being legacy, bravery, etc. Ash is spiritual protection and wisdom. Blackthorn is adversity and hardship. Hawthorn is love, union, and balance. Okay. So you get this like cyclical thing. We also have the Wheel of the Year here with all the 8 Sabbats listed, which I think is awesome. That's great for the wheel. Oh, for Justice, we have Black-Eyed Susan. Incredible. Love that. And literally one of the keywords for Black-Eyed Susan is justice, but also bringing darkness to light and impartiality. Like, could that be more perfect? This is what I mean by knowing this was going to be incredibly well researched. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was a little bit disappointed by the Children of Litha not calling out the animal stuff in as clearly as it does with the plant energy in this deck. So that just, oh man, this is just like totally my vibe. I love it so much. All right, then we have the Hanged Man, and here we have Blackberry. Blackberry's interesting here, and I'm not looking at the book when I say this because I'm trying to like kind of lean into what do I know about these plant energies and like how could I bond with this deck? And for me, Blackberry is a very tenacious herb, like it doesn't give up, right? And so there's this element of the Hanged Man of being willing to move into spaces of the unknown and like chart your own path. There's a bit of that rebellious energy, which I think works well for the Hanged Man, but also I feel like that sense of pause could also be potent. Here, which here she actually says about it is blackberry, meaning is divine love, sacred wisdom, pain, grief, and weariness. Talks about, let's see, a blackberry fae dangles from rope-like vines made of his own thorny brambles. The Hangman card often appears when the taught and internalized assumptions of our world begin to warp and morph within us. When the ego protests, we become stuck in our own tangled inner brambles. If we can let go our materialistic assumptions, our wounded egos, our superficial virtues, and comforting vices, we might be able to cut through the thicket and retrieve the tender fruits ripe with potential bursting all around and within us. I mean, the writing is just beautiful. It was beautiful in the Nameless one too, so I'm not surprised. But I like it distilled a little bit. Zia's writing is very dense and rich, but I find it works well for me in small bits. Shayla, what you doing, baby? Come here. Come here, you're okay. Hi, baby. You okay? Are you okay? You good girl? Okay. Good girl. Okay. Okay, for Death, we have Belladonna. Obviously, or excuse me. Well, yeah, I guess it is the same thing. Deadly Nightshade, which is Atropa belladonna. And obviously, belladonna is a poison, also known as Deadly Nightshade. So Deadly Nightshade and belladonna are the same thing. Sorry, my dog's building a nest under my table here. Perfect for Death. I love that she's holding the skull here. I love that we have this human plant hybrid happening. For Temperance, we have Olive and Yellow Iris. What an interesting combination. So the irises are here on the bottom here, and it's an olive tree. Olive for harmony and peace and more. Yellow Iris for temperance, passion, clarity. There's a lot going on here, but this is an olive dryad. How beautiful is that? Like, this just really brings plants to life for me. That's exciting because I've really struggled to find a botanical deck that really, really works for me. And I haven't yet found like the perfect one, but maybe because this is also tarot, it's really shedding some new light for me on plant energy that is very exciting to me. Okay, so the Devil, we have Oleander, which I believe is also a poison, is it not? Like corruption, oleander flowers grow in abundance. Like temptation, it pleases the eye as it strangles the heart. Interesting. Like evil, it is invasive, quick to grow, and difficult to stop once sprouted. Oleander is a dense evergreen shrub that flowers prolifically, and every single facet of it is fatally poisonous. Okay, so super, super, super dangerous plant, and super beautiful to look at, which is a wonderful analogy for the Devil. The Tower. What did she pick for the Tower? See, I'm just like pulled right into this. The Tower is Snapdragon. Oh, I love Snapdragons. The first time I encountered snapdragons was actually in Ontario when I went to visit Peggy, and they were growing on, I think it was in Ontario. It might have been No, I'm pretty sure it was in Ontario. And she literally showed me how they snap. It was so cool. Anyways, so Snapdragon is protection, grace, deviousness, and curse reversal, which is interesting. The tower indicates sudden destruction. A Snapdragon perches on a crumbling tower, its many heads roaring as lightning strikes and forest fires rage. Snapdragons are protective in spell work, and any part worn or held will protect one from enchantment, deception, and harm until evil passes. Love that. Here we have the star. That is gorgeous. Look at this like spirit creature that she's communing with. And this is lavender. How beautiful. I could have seen lavender if I was looking at the card instead of the book. This looks like the Datura? Is it Datura? Moonflower. Well, I tried to get fancy with it. I thought there was another name for moonflowers though, but moonflower is obviously perfect for the moon. We have beauty and darkness, mystery and intuition there. For the sun, we have sunflower. That couldn't be more perfect. No notes. Love it. For judgment, angel's trumpet. Is that literally what the plant is called? How charming is that? A Brugmansia Fay. Brugmansia being the botanical name. Blows on his trumpet flower, awakening and compelling the lost souls drowned in the nearby river to ascend. And the angel's trumpet meaning, spiritual growth, clarity, resignation, and intuition. I mean, like, come on. Look at these trumpet flowers. That is amazing. The world is ivy and fern and moss, and I love the green and the richness of it all. We get meaning for ivy. Ivy is ambition, bonds, tenacity, resilience, protection, and endurance. Ivy was a really important plant to me. It was what I had ivy, Peggy and I, for our wedding and hand fasting. We had a strong ivy theme. So our theme for the wedding was actually black and white roses. We had a whole yin yang energy theme for our ceremony, but it was black and white and green. And so we had these bursts of green that ran through. And what I had I actually wore a, what do you call it? I guess you call it a crown, a wreath. It was a wreath, a crown wreath, on my head of woven ivy, like fresh ivy woven, and that trailed down, and it had white roses in it. And it was just, oh, my heart. Love it. So lots of white roses and ivy together. And that was, a lot of that was plant symbology that I had researched at the time. And I wanted that longevity and that protection of the ivy woven into everything about our ceremony. Anyways, that just makes me really happy. Fern brings hope for future generations, humility and visibility, ancestors, and moss is luck, renewal, and connection between all living things. That is just gorgeous. And from what I can tell, my background, I should have grabbed a lighter background, but the colors are really popping. We have these black oval frames. I thought that was going to really bug me. When I've seen this deck, actually, just as a quick side note, when I've seen this deck in pictures before on videos, I've been like, those ovals are not for me. But a lot of times the artwork kind of climbs out of these ovals. You see it a lot through the major, like look how lush and overgrown. So that's really cool. It's not fully contained within, but then in minors, it seems a little bit more contained. But those ovals don't seem distracting to me. They seem to draw the eye in towards the center. And obviously Zia is an artist and would know that. That would have been an intentional choice. Here we have the Ace of Cups. So we're into the minors now. And we begin with the cups, and we have White Lotus, which couldn't be more perfect for the Ace of Cups in my view. And lotuses generally have a message of healing, but here she calls out spiritual protection, self-control, and divine messages. In the Two of Cups, we have Sweet Pea. Sweet Pea is such a lovely plant. Friendship, social responsibility, harmony. These are pippish, but it really draws the eye to the botanicals. And again, I'm here for that. I think the pips are mindful. I think that they're placed in a mindful way. I don't feel like that's a problem in this deck, since I think it's really about tapping into the plant energies. So the Three of Cups, what did I say Three of Cups was? Sweet Pea? Yeah, Three of Cups was Sweet Pea for friendship, chastity, social responsibility. Yeah. The Four of Cups, we have Willow, Weeping Willow specifically. That is just the perfect association, I feel like. There's the steadiness and the sturdiness of the Four of Cups that we get with the Willow, but we also get that sense of the heaviness of that energy just visually in the plant, right? So she calls out melancholy, mourning, wishing, and healing here. And then in the Five, we have Hyacinth for sorrow, grief, jealousy, and remorse. For purple hyacinth, actually, and white hyacinth is prayers, hope, and beauty. And what's interesting is she's got both. So just like we normally will see for 3 spilled cups and 2 upright, here we actually have mostly purple hyacinth for the grief, and then one singular set of blooms. What do you call that? What is a set of blooms called? a bloom cluster of white hyacinth to bring that hope back in and that prayer back in. That's so gorgeous. I love that so much. Oh my gosh, this deck is giving me tingles. The Six of Cups is white lilac for forsaken memory, youth, innocence, first love, and reincarnation. I mean, oh, come on. I'm loving all the skulls showing up throughout this deck, by the way. We saw one in the 5. Was that it? I guess we saw them also in the majors. But here we have the 7 of Cups, and we have Cowslip. I don't know much about Cowslip, but it says treasure finding youth, doom, glamour, death, and rebirth. Fey magic. The poem here, let's just share one of those. Coral snake, king snake, your subtle art is hard to shake. Fairies love your tricks and schemes, for they know nothing is as it seems. When a red scale touches a black, it is safe for Jack to turn his back. If a red scale touches a yellow, this serpent will surely kill a fellow. Where golden cowslips sweetly grow, ways of fay and serpent you'll know. And if their treasure you should find, to truth and reason it turns you blind. Interesting. There's a real call out to the coral snake. It talks about temptation and yeah, cowslip grows where fairies hide their treasure. As tempting as these stashes are, nothing with the fae is as it appears. For the beautiful often hides the beastly, and the beastly the benign. The integrated paradoxes of desire and fear, fantasy and reality blur intimately within this realm, depicted by the simultaneous night rain and morning sun. So we have night rain here and morning sun. Wow, so much illusion and etherealness in this card. Oh, those are bleeding hearts. 8 of Cups, bleeding heart. Sensitivity, letting go, rejection, detachment. I mean, for the 8 of Cups, could it be better than bleeding hearts? No, I don't think so. Oh, you know how it feels with the 9 of... Okay. Well, this deck and I are going to get along just freaking fine. I will try to find the picture to put on the screen in a moment, but this is Trillium. And Trillium is a special flower to Peggy and I. I'm just going to tell all the stories about us. So this was a flower I encountered in St. Thomas. Isn't it interesting? I feel like I have so many more like connections and memories and like visceral feelings about plants than animals, which I guess makes sense because I've encountered many more plants in my day-to-day life. Anyways, the thing about Trillium, this makes me so freaking happy. Anyways, Trilliums are, they sort of grow among the like low growth in like woody areas, and they can be kind of hard to spot. I don't think they bloom for a long time. I'm so curious what she says about them here actually. And then I'll tell the story. But she says, the early morning light calls 3 giant Trillium to rise from their forest floor. Above them hangs the masterful remnants of a spider, her silvery tapestry shining proudly. Below them, a river runs over shining fairy treasure. Irish moss covers the other side of the brook. So Irish moss is also one of the associations for this card. Trillium is a beautiful wildflower, but plucking it often results in severe damage to the plant. Thus, Trilliums are symbols of modest beauty and spiritual oneness, as one must appreciate it for what it is, where it is, and then leave it be. It was really cool because I'd never seen Trilliums, and Peggy showed them to me, and we ended up finding this whole, they were in bloom when I was visiting her, and we found this entire, like, or she took me to this entire, like, little cluster of them, and we each kind of crouched down and took a picture in the Trilliums, and it was, like, such a cool moment. Anyways, so it's really stuck, and every once in a while, Peggy and I will go on Trillium hunts. We did it actually this last summer, just going through the local parks and looking to see if any Trilliums were in bloom. And there's just a season for them, and I don't know, they just have like a fond memory, and the 9 of Cups is a special card to me, as a lot of you know. It is actually the card I chose for the cover of my Unicorn's Journey tarot box, because for me, the 9 of the Cups is like sort of the sweetest card in the deck. It's like personal contentment and fulfillment and wishes fulfilled and all of that, but it's not over the top as it can be in the 10 of Cups. Anyways, that makes me really happy. Okay, anyway, moving on. 10 of Cups is roses, and there are all colors. We have purple, red, peach, white. So as I mentioned before, I already have an association with white rose from my wedding, but there's little keywords here for the different colors of the roses. I love rose for the 10 of Cups. I think that works really, really well. My significator in the tarot is typically the Page of Cups, and here this page is associated with the crocus, and crocus talks about return of love, visions, youthfulness, mirth, support, and play. Love that. In the Knight of Cups, we see Columbine. Okay, now Columbine, I don't know if I know it visually. Is it these flowers? It must be, because they're just everywhere on this card. Represents love and folly, faithfulness and adultery, as well as a desire to win. Interesting. Folly, courage, cuckoldry, dreams, visions. Wow. Interesting. Okay, so it's like a show-offy flower, but sometimes it's like a little flaky. That sounds like the Knight of Cups to me. And then we have for the Queen of Cups, apple blossom. Love that. Emotional purity, inner health, love, self-care, fertility. And then our king, is that cherry blossom? Yeah, cherry blossom for the King of Cups. Wisdom, peace, knowledge. I like cherry blossom because it makes me think of that. It makes me think of that feeling of sage wisdom. I don't know how else to describe it, but I feel like it really fits the King of Cups. So then we're moving into Pentacles. And for the ace, we have honesty. Is that the name of the plant? Yep, an honesty plant. Fairy clutches a giant silver coin. Honesty, also called money or silver dollar plant. Okay, I recognize those leaves. Yeah, I've heard it. I've seen it as silver dollar, but I didn't know it was called honesty. That's kind of cool. Attracting money, repelling monsters, honesty and prosperity. The 2 is quince. This is a fruit, yeah? Unity, happiness, balance of projective and receptive energy. That's fun for the 2. The 3 looks like, yep, Queen Anne's lace. Queen Anne's lace is goal-setting, sanctuary, organization, and creative skill. That was a plant that I did a lot of work with when I was in the Sisterhood of Avalon. It's also called Daucus or Daucus carota. I don't think I worked with it under its botanical name. Legend states that a friend once challenged the skillful Queen Anne to sew lace as fine as these flowers, and in so doing, she pricked her finger and her blood forever colored the center of the delicate flowers. Thus, this flower represents industriousness, taking direction, and fine handiwork. So there's also 3 bees that are working together on this card, so you still get that collaborative energy as well. Then we have in the 4, alfalfa. Talks about agriculture, protecting against financial misfortune. In the 5, we have Cypress. In Greek mythology, Cyparissus is a mortal lover of the god Apollo, and it talks about that a little bit. Cypress has grief and comforting the bereaved to despair, sorrow, and mourning. In the 6, we have honeysuckle and mistletoe. Honeysuckle is bonds of love, generous affection, devotion, wealth. Mistletoe is kiss me, luck, protection, difficulties, and hidden danger. Mistletoe is poisonous, I believe. And then we have the 7 of Pentacles, gourds, especially pumpkins specifically. And gourds are abundance, protection, endurance, longevity. For me, for the 7 of Pentacles or 7 of coins, this works really well because gourds do take a long time, but they also keep a long time. And so there's this element of like waiting things out or being good with the journey that I think works really well for them. In the 8, we have oat, the soul of music, beautiful voice, prosperity, cultivation. There's also an orb weaver spider in this one. In the 9 of Pentacles, we have tulip. Tulip symbolizes wealth, perfection, and ardent love. So too does the 9 of Pentacles indicate material gain, prosperity, security, and financial independence. Different colors of tulips. Love that. And then in the 10, we have corn. Love that corn is in the 10. I mean, with the cornucopia and stuff, that is perfect for the abundance and the harvest energy of the 10 of Pentacles. Or coins. Is it pentacles? Yeah, it's pentacles in this deck. They look like coins, but they're pentacles. And then we have the Page of Pentacles as evening primrose. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles as patchouli. Oh, I love that. It's kind of neat to see patchouli in its like floral form. That's neat. The Queen of Pentacles is vervain. That's also one that I worked with quite a lot. Indeed, the Queen of Pentacles makes for a potent patron. Let's see. Vervain has a long list of purported magical properties from enchantment, spiritual purification, protection against enemies, maintaining chastity, and the accumulation of wealth, to the restoration of youth and physical health. It is also symbolizes peaceful settlements. So a lot of that with the Queen of Pentacles and her sort of gentle, nurturing energy. We have the King of Pentacles with magnolia. Magnolias are so lush. It just, to me, that makes sense for the King of Pentacles. I love that. And she could have gone with something more obvious, like around grapes or something, but she didn't. And I'm glad she didn't because I really like the magnolia for him. Moving into the swords, we begin with Lily of the Valley. I feel like I should have recognized that. Oh, sorry. It'd help if I talked about it. Lily of the Valley, choosing the correct path, mental power, and purity. For the 2, we have Eyebright. Eyebright. What does it say about Eyebright? Insight, clear perspective and perception, memory and visions. A praying mantis is also here. Eyebrights are small flowers said to bestow clairvoyance, mental clarity, and grant clear perceptions, which would be very useful in a 2 of Swords kind of moment. Ooh, that's tough. That looks terrible. Those are bunnies. Oh my gosh, that's like a really intense 3 of Swords. No, bunnies. We have bittersweet. Pierce a white rabbit Ensnared by bittersweet. A black rabbit hangs below, sad but safe. Bittersweet is a poisonous plant that acts as a symbol of fidelity because its taste begins bitter but turns sweet. As a talisman, it removes negative energy and helps one forget past love. Oh, the Three of Swords represents the mental processing of loss and betrayal, often acting a harbinger of promises. It warns of the grief that ensues when they are broken. Oh my goodness. So there's betrayal here for sure. In the Four of Swords, we see Poppy, which makes sense for the... whenever I see poppies, I think of the scene from The Wizard of Oz, you know, sleep. It's like, okay, rest and poppies make sense to me. We also, of course, have its association with morphine or with opiates. Poppy, opiates. So anything that makes you drowsy or sleepy or whatever, which makes sense to me. Then we also have hops. And hops says mirth, healing, sleep, pleasure, and imagination. For the Five of Swords, which is often a difficult card, we have borage, which is another herb that you can work with medicinally, as I understand it. And borage is courage, psychic powers, bluntness, safety. What does it say here? The borage flower grants protection to the traveler as an amulet. It doesn't talk about medicinal use, so don't listen to me. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Like, do your own research. But I feel like I've done something with borage before, but maybe I'm mixing it up with a different plant. Always good to double check these things. And then we have chicory for the Six of Swords, which symbolizes faith, patience, and devotion, overcoming obstacles, opening locks. So there's an idea here around breaking through barriers, which is kind of cool. I don't know that I've ever noticed what chicory flowers look like, so I like that. I also like the bird with the key here in the Six of Swords, that element of escape or getting through or getting away from something. In the Seven of Swords, we have aspen for duality, confidence, quiet fears, protection, anti-theft, and eloquence. There's a real cool element here where if you are somebody that likes to work with herbs magically or spiritually, you have that option and that layer in this deck. I think it's baked in really beautifully to its design. So if you're somebody who wants to be able to pull in these energies, then you, like I have used tarot before in manifestation work. I've used it in protection work. Knowing that I can pull these energies and have them on my table and like represent the thing and its qualities can be really helpful. And you have like a whole library now of 78 plants, right? If you have this deck that you can work with. And I think that's pretty great. So moving on to the Eight of Swords, we have kudzu. I don't know this one. Let's see. Kudzu is a flowering vine that quickly grows rampant and unrestrained until it has covered and suffocated everything beneath its green blanket. So it has conquered, covered, and consumed entire forests and their ecosystems. It therefore symbolizes growth brought to the point of wild unsustainability, which is interesting for the Eight of Swords because there's so much growth and there's so many options. There's so many things to consider that we get very stuck. We get in that analysis paralysis place. So that's really interesting. And that basically having too much of something, including our thoughts, can choke out everything else, right? And leave little room. So then we have the Ten of Swords, and is that just daisies? Oh, no, I should have known better. That's chamomile down here, and this is agrimony. So protection for the agrimony. Chamomile brings the rest and the fortitude. I have chamomile strongly associated with like calming the nerves, probably because when I was in like, I don't know, like 19, 20, I had a friend who, she had a lot of anxiety and she drank a lot of chamomile tea. And so I have this like very strong association with her and with chamomile. And just going to her house, I remember just sitting there and having mugs of chamomile tea with honey in it. And I still like the taste of chamomile, and it still reminds me of that desire for calmness when I taste it in teas. All of which to say, I said all of that without even, that's so funny. I started talking about all of that without even thinking about the fact that we were in the Nine of Swords, and the Nine of Swords is a card of fear and anxiety. So what else is better than chamomile in that context? And I was literally talking about how I have this strong memory of somebody who I knew dealt with anxiety and yet would sip on this chamomile tea. How cool is that? And then here we have the agrimony representing the protection. Oh God, that's so cool. Okay, anyways, 10 of Swords, lily. A skull run through by 10 swords sits on a tombstone surrounded by spider lilies. Oh, spider lilies specifically. Spider lily says death, tragic fate, abandonment, amnesia, and lost souls. Wow. Our Page of Swords, slippery elm. So this is another plant energy that I think is used a lot in herbalism. But let's see what it says. When burned, slippery elm possesses the magical ability to halt gossip. It also nurtures eloquence in children who wear it as a talisman. Indeed, the Page of Swords often speaks to one young and inquisitive, one intent on analyzing, understanding, and communicating with the mind of the world. I mean, that is the Page of Swords through and through. In the Knight of Swords, we have mint. That's so cool because mint is an invasive plant. It grows very quickly. It's definitely something that like anybody, I feel like anybody can grow mint. Like mint is really easy, but you have to put it in a pot if you're going to grow it. Like, well, you don't have to, but if you don't put it in a pot, it's going to be everywhere all at once. It's going to be crazy. So that for the Knight of Swords and its quick moving energy and it's like rushing in and taking over, it just kind of works. But here she talks about wealth, traveling, exorcism, wisdom, healing, and knowledge. Does she address the fact that, I mean, mint is obviously great for health things like headaches and stomach stuff, attracts prosperity, ensures safe travel, does a lot of stuff. Mint is great. Love all that. Okay. The Queen of Swords is almond. And I love that the almond shape is literally worked in here to her whole body. That's very cool. And then, of course, these are probably almond flowers all around her. Almond for the Queen of Swords. Wisdom, prosperity, sobriety, logic, higher understanding. That makes sense. And then our King of Swords is date palm. That's very cool. According to folklore, a palm frond kept near the entrance of the home protects it from evil, and the area in which they plentifully grow is protected from foul weather. It is the public duty of a king to ensure his people are safe and the land is fertile. It is his personal duty to sire an heir and ensure his kingdom outlives his reign. Cool. Victory, success, masculine, fertility, spirituality, and life. We have the Ace of Wands. So we're into the wand suit now. Wow, that's a very sensual Ace of Wands. And we have rosemary. How cool. We can definitely get this feeling of like burning rosemary. I wonder if a lot of the herbs here are herbs that you can burn. Do you know what I mean? I wonder if she says actually in the intro to the suit. I haven't really been looking at those. The themes of the suit are primal energy, sexuality, determination, spirituality, growth, and inspiration. Rosemary is a popular culinary herb. Oh my gosh. When added to the fire as either incense or a flavorful seasoning, it helps restore vitality, memory, clear the mind, and awaken our desire. According to the language of flowers, it means your presence revives me. Oh, interesting. And the Two of Wands, we have an axe. What the heck? We have rowan and heliotrope. So the heliotrope must be these flowers in the front. Those are definitely rowan berries and rowan leaves. So rowan brings courage, wisdom, insight, and visions. Heliotrope is prophecy, devotion, longing. So there's this element of like wanting to get outside your safe zone. It's so interesting to see the axe like sort of center stage here. My dog is snoring under my table, so if you hear her, I'm so sorry. But that's just what it is. Yes. Okay, so here heliotrope and rowan symbolize the kindling of a devoted desire to begin a grand adventure, as well as the tools we will use to plan and succeed on it. The axe and the stump represents our initial attempts to carve our path and implies dangers we may or may not have predicted. Okay. Lots of intentionality, as I said. Here we have birds of paradise and oranges. Very tropical. This definitely gets the feeling of like you're going somewhere. You're stepping outside of your usual, unless you live in an area with oranges and birds of paradise, in which case it might not look like that to you. But that's what it looks like to me. Love that. Here we have peony. And we have marriage, anniversary, good health, prosperity, and romance. What a pretty card. Oh my gosh. The Five of Wands, we have black pepper. Ooh, I like that. Black pepper for conflict, for strengthening, for purification, for hex breaking, protection. It's a potent herb. It's one that I use a lot when I'm doing any kind of magical work or herb work. I've used black pepper to like quicken or to add like aggression or heat to the working. And that's been really great for me. Here we have the Six of Wands, bay laurel, which is the same thing as bay leaf, I believe. And nasturtiums. I feel like bay laurel and bay leaf is the same thing. Somebody feel free to weigh in the comments, but I think it's the same thing. Energy of the Six of Wands, talking about victory and merit. Yes. Oh, is it chilies? In the Seven of Wands, we have chili pepper, capsicum, hex breaking, motivation, protection, fidelity, go away, and drive. Yeah, there can be definitely that like potent like back energy to this, which for the Seven of Wands, which is about standing up for yourself, like having that inner fire, that just really makes sense. The Eight of Wands, coffee and cinnamon. I mean, again, I said black pepper, but I forgot. Really, when I want to speed something up, that heat is great. So coffee, obviously, the sense we know that caffeine is a thing, right? We know it represents like energy and like dynamic and movement. And so coffee in any kind of working or in any kind of intentional work with herbs can be really powerful. And then cinnamon. So some people actually put cinnamon in their coffee and like that's just such a start to your day. But like for the Eight of Wands, which is all about speed and potency and things kind of taking off, that combo just it's just chef's kiss, this whole thing. Nine of Wands is juniper, and how beautiful is that juniper tree? Oh my goodness. So we have protection, endurance, strength, journey, and purifying evil. When we're talking about the Nine of Wands, there's this idea of holding fast, but also of having taken some wounds along the way. So something that brings a little bit of that purification and protection and endurance is going to be really potent in that card. The page, wait, no, 10, the 10 of Wands is Masterwort. I do have some Masterwort in my apothecary at the moment, but I haven't done a whole lot of work with it. What does it say? Courage, strength, granting willpower, and calm emotions. It talks about a cluster of Masterwort flowers struggle to hold the weight of the world. Oh, the planet's waiting on them, or weighing down on them. According to folkloric tradition, Masterwort, also called Hades' pincushion, instills courage, calms emotion, and enhances the strength and stamina of those carrying it. So I feel like in a way what we're getting with this deck is twofold. We're getting the card, like what we understand the card to mean archetypally, right? But then we're also getting sort of the thing that can help us. So if you were like pulling a reading, for example, and you get a difficult card, let's find one at the end of this. Try to help me remember. We're almost done here. I'm going to try to remember to actually find a difficult card and see if the plant can offer some medicine in that situation that's difficult. So we might want to look at like the Three of Swords, which was quite a difficult card, and take a look at that. I'm going to try to remember that. I'm holding it in my brain. We'll see what happens. Page of Wands, we have Clove. Again, that clove brings that spiciness, that speed sometimes to work, but here it talks about protection, comfort, exorcism, money, and attraction. I've used clove in prosperity work before. Here we have the Knight of Wands, and we have dill. Oh, I like that. Wealth, traveling, virtue, exorcism, wisdom, healing, knowledge. Oh, that's fun. I like that. Okay. Our Queen of Wands is fig. That's just beautiful. Since antiquity, figs have served as both sweet, sumptuous treats as well as symbols of wisdom, loyalty, desire, lust, abundance, and humility. All right. And then we have the King of Wands, which is cedar. Cedar is one of my absolute favorites, and you'll find a little cedar in fact, I very intentionally put cedar in my Emperor card. In the Unicorn's Journey Tarot. It's kind of funny. It's almost like as bad as my animal stuff is, my plant stuff just seems so much better. So yeah, I very specifically asked for a Western red cedar in my Emperor card. And here, let me just pull this up and see what she says about cedar. Here she talks about cedar being protection, purification, strength, goals, and devotion. The smoke from the cedar tree is powerfully purifying, said to chase away evil, doubt, and nightmares. Carrying a sprig of cedar attracts wealth and offers protection. It's ingredient in lust and vitality spells due to its abundance of phallic-shaped needles and pine cones. The cedar symbolizes greatness, strength, and incorruptibility due to its longevity and resistance to disease. Cedar's just one of those trees that has always felt like home to me, probably because I grew up around them, but also it feels strong in all of the like good ways. And so seeing that as the King of Wands to me makes so much sense. Okay, so I didn't forget. So we're going to go and grab that Three of Swords. I got to find the swords. Where were the swords? Was I paying attention to see if I can tell? Okay, no, those are pentacles. Okay, there. Oh, look, there it is. Okay, so, and then we'll do some shuffling and stuff too, so I don't need to keep these in order now. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So I remember this was a difficult card to look at, but I want to see if we really get the vibe of kind of the idea that we have both the problem and the solution in the card. So let's read the poem first. So this was bittersweet was the plant. So we have bittersweet like a rabbit's snare, the pain of an unanswered prayer, sweetest longing made to rot, a promise made empty and for naught. One sword for the lovely terms we laid, one sword for the bitter heart betrayed. The third sword is for the keen pain it left when truth prevailed over a heart bereft. The rabbit wonders how it came to this after the poison of an abandoned kiss. Woe to the rabbit and his wondering mind, for the truth of one trapped is seldom kind. Three swords pierce a white rabbit ensnared by bittersweet. A black rabbit hangs below, sad but safe. Bittersweet is a poisonous plant that acts as a symbol of fidelity. Oh, we did read this earlier, because its taste begins bitter but turns sweet. As a talisman, it removes negative energy and helps one forget past love. So here we do get that idea that even though the plant itself can represent the idea, so yeah, acts as a symbol of fidelity because its taste begins bitter but turns sweet. And so it talks about betrayal is a threefold sorrow, for we mourn the breaking of expectations, the outrage of the unexpected outcome, and the shattered hopes of what could have been. Reversed, the swords fall out, and we are able to process our woe and move past bitterness and into sweetness once more. So we have caution, honesty, enchantment, protection, and fidelity. And when we think of this plant as being one that when worn as a charm, Yeah, when worn as a charm, or no, sorry, as a talisman, it removes negative energy and helps one forget past love. So there is this feeling that the plant offers the solution, even though it itself isn't necessarily, like, depends on the context, right? So let's look at a different one. What's another difficult card? Let's look at the Tower and see if we also see something similar here. I also kind of want to look at the Devil, so we'll pull the Devil and the Tower. Okay, and just see if we see sort of the context, but then also maybe the medicine within the plant. So for the Devil, after Temperance, okay. So the Devil is Oleander. So this is an Oleander dragon. So Oleander is calculated risk, lust, disgrace, caution, illness, and misfortune. But it says, like corruption, oleander flowers grow in abundance. Like temptation, it pleases the eyes, it strangles the heart. Like evil, it is invasive. So we did read this. Every single facet of it is fatally poisonous. So this is one where it's basically like the entire plant is dangerous. Like it lures you in, but it's dangerous. So we're not seeing the medicine in this one. What about the Tower? Let's see if we do. And this could just be me just playing and trying to see. Snapdragon, which has protection, grace, deviousness, remorse, and curse reversal. So when we're dealing with like a crumbling foundation, where we're dealing with like the destruction of the tower, the Snapdragon could kind of help us receive the grace that we need in that moment, right? Tap into the grace. And then also a little bit of that curse reversal energy might also be nice for the Tower. So potentially, I would say it might not be 100% of the time through all of the cards. Let's zoom out. But we do have that idea that there is some feeling of being able to use these same energies to tap into the solution. Now, a note about the cardstock. So it has a little bit of a light rose petal finish, but that makes it, it's a smoother rose petal. It's the same as what I had on, I'm pretty sure, on the Nameless one, if I remember correctly. But this kind of rose petal is quite gentle. It's not as grippy and rubbery feeling as some of the rose petals we had when rose petal was first a thing. So it does have that, and as you can see, hopefully you can see, it still fans pretty dang well right out of the box. So even though it's a little bit rose petally, like I said, it's a fairly smooth rose petal. Here we have the moon with the moonflowers. I kind of want to quiz myself a little if I'll remember most of these. Let's see. We did go through them all, so let me just take a peek and see if anything, if I can kind of tell. That was Tulip. Let's pull a different one. Queen of Swords. I don't remember. It was, I know Cherry Blossom was King of Swords. Lavender for the Star. Olives and Daffodils. Oh, Knight of Swords was Mint. I talked about that one for a while. Death was, I forget. Wait, that's Belladonna. Belladonna was Death. There's the Moonflower. There was our Six of Cups. Sweet Pea? Now it's going to bug me. Six of Cups. Let's look it up. These are not in the order that I'm used to. Oh, White Lilac. That's right. And what was the Queen of Swords? Almond. Oh, that's right. Her body makes the almond shape. Anyway, okay, so my playtime is over. This was the Children of Ostara. I have to say, and I want to take a quick look. I want to take these last couple minutes because I was originally intending to kind of flip through them both at the same time, this one and Children of Litha. Let's take a quick glance at Children of Litha and just see, now that I have gone through the entire Children of Ostara, what do I think about... This is the exact same cardstock. There's our Certificate of Authenticity. I almost said Awakening. Our Certificate of Awakening. I had trouble through the majors in knowing the animals. I think that was a ram. That's a bull. I feel like probably a snake, I guess. I think that was a hippocampus for the chariot. We have lion. I think they're both meant to be lions here. We have, I should know what that is, but I don't. And we have the seasons again with the Wheel of the Year, which I love. We have a red fox and a great fox. I don't know. We have an ostrich, I think, for justice. A mermaid for the hanged man or some kind of fish. This death card is absolutely beautiful. We have a tiger for temperance. A dragon for the devil, I guess. Sea monster for the tower, maybe. This looks like, well, it's definitely a fish-ish of some kind. I feel like there's, yeah, interesting. We have another like mythological. We have a black cat in the sun. This one feels a little more mystical and a little less grounded, which I guess might make sense for the Children of Ostara to be so plant-based. I love that we've got kind of like almost like a labyrinth in the background. I don't know what kind of animal that is, but is it a gazelle? That doesn't make sense for the world. I've got to look. Y'all, if it doesn't tell me, I'm going to be so cranky. It doesn't tell me. A mother centaur. Okay, so it's a centaur. All right, that's cool. the Ace of Cups. Let's just, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but there's no reference. There's some kind of fish skeleton. We have seahorses for the 2. We have goldfish, I guess, for the 3. School of fish. Okay. The 4 is a ray of some kind, right? It doesn't tell us. Y'all, that's not okay. That's a hammerhead shark? But, like, it needs to tell me. It needs to not assume I know what that is. Oh, no, it doesn't tell me. It doesn't even tell me. It doesn't tell me. I'm so sad. Dolphins for the 6. Eels for the 7. They look exactly like the ones from Little Mermaid to me. Jellyfish for the 8. Octopus for the 9. Narwhals for the 10. That's super cool. Why doesn't it tell me? These are flying fish. Pretty sure. A dragony type thing. A seal? Question mark. Why do I struggle? I'm doing this just for those of you who are amused by me trying to identify animals. I want you to know. Yeah, it doesn't reference the animal. See, this is a bummer because, yes, the animals are present. We get the energy. But people like me, like, oh my God, this is like, let's make fun of Lisa for an hour while she tries to walk through this deck and remember what everything's called. That's some kind of mountain goat or sheep or something. It's embarrassing, actually, how bad I am at it. Those are owls, though. That's a very, very dead swan. Gosh, that's gruesome. I don't know, y'all. I was so enamored with the plant one, and this just, it's frustrating for me because I'm so not good at it. And the sad thing is that that's probably not something that Zia was thinking when she created this, because let's face it, most people are going to know what these are. I feel like I am notoriously bad, but like those are cats. Yeah, those are cats. That is a wolf or a coyote, one or the other. Oh, it's Lion King. Oh, that's so cute. Anyways, so yeah. Unfortunately, I think that this one might end up being a miss for me, which may be just as well because, y'all, I don't need to Pokemon. I really don't. I don't need a Pokemon. So I may have to revisit this one later and see if it's even something that I can work with. But I think that, unfortunately for me, an animal deck needs to explicitly tell me what is on every card. And that is true no matter what kind of animal deck it is. So this one I'm going to set aside for later consideration. We'll put it that way. And the Children of Ostara, though, has been such a hit. It was so fun to go through this deck. I really had a great time. Thank you for hanging out with me while I did it. As always, an extra big thank you goes out to my Unicorn Fam channel members. If you missed it, I've recently made some changes to the Unicorn Fam channel membership. You can learn more about those changes on my community tab, or I think it's called the posts tab now. You can click there and scroll down and you'll see some information about, it'll say like Unicorn Fam channel update or something like that. You'll be able to read about the new configuration of tiers, but I put more goodies into the supportive unicorn tier, which is the initial one. And we changed up what we're doing in the highest tier as well, the badass tier. Middle tier stays pretty solid and steady where it's doing. We have our monthly member readings, but in any case, if you want to learn more about all of that, you can click the join button down below or go click that update to read what is contained in every tier currently. And don't forget, of course, to like this video, click the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. It's actually only about 30% of you who watch the channel who are actually subscribed, and YouTube shows me that, and I found that really surprising because I feel like there's so many of you here. So if you are watching, hit the subscribe button, and then you can hit your subscription feed when you pop onto YouTube and actually see my videos right there in your feed, because otherwise the algorithm will just show you whatever it thinks you want to see, not what you maybe actually want to see. Anyways, thank you so much, and until next time, may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye!